Hi there, it's Lou from Click Love Grow, and I just wanted to take a really short video of you because I've come outside. It's about 5:30, so it's winter here in the US, and I have this beautiful pocket of light in the corner of my backyard. So I wanted to show it to you so that I can show you then taking an image using that backlight so that we can process that in Lightroom, and I'm going to walk you through the whole steps. So one of the things I found with lighting in particular, it's really hard to know where to put your subject in relation to the light to get a certain effect. So let's turn it around so that you can see. How do I do that? Okay, I'll come this way. So we have my daughter here. Say hi, Millie. And if you look behind us, you can see that the sun is setting and it's probably still a good hour away from sunset, but because of where the trees and the bushes are in the corner of my backyard, then the sun is being filtered through those trees, and it's giving us really beautiful light. So you can have a look there, and if you were to look around the rest of my yard, you can see that it's really beautiful soft light. So we've got a couple of options of where to shoot here, and it's all really pretty stuff. So in terms of taking photos of my daughter, just imagine that I'm getting nice and low and I'm making sure that the sun is behind her head so that it's kind of rimming the side of her hair in beautiful light. She's being a very good patient model for me. There we go. So this is probably a good angle to show how the light is hitting the side of her hair. Millie, just look that way a little bit for me. That's it. And if I come around, you can see the light's coming behind her, and if I get down nice and low with my camera, I'm actually letting a little bit of that sunlight hit the lens and come into the frame as well, which gives us the beautiful backlit light and also the light bokeh. So let me just take a couple of frames. So let's have a look there. So there we go, we can see the beautiful bokeh, the beautiful light behind her, and the settings that I'm using are f2.2, 1/200s, and my ISO is 640. And as we can see here, the sun's coming down more now, so it's just giving us more of an opportunity to capture really, really pretty shots. So there you go. Oh, and you heard my sweet baby boy squawking there. Don't worry, I did go and rescue him from his other sister. Okay, so I wanted to now show you two edits of photos that I took when we were outside. And so I actually took, a few different shots of my daughter, and then I decided to do the video because the light was so pretty and I wanted to explain how to position your subject in relation to the light. So you can see here the sun is very much coming down, filtered through the trees, which means that we're able to position her so, as you saw in the video, it was hitting sort of the back and side of her hair there. And with the building was quite close, the outdoor patio, but the angle with the 50mm lens in this case was enough that it's only just here in the corner. So I wanted to show you editing a backlit photo, because quite often you see the end result and it's not how the image was taken, because there is quite a lot of light and backlit photos can look quite washed out when they're straight out of camera. So we can do some really simple and quick post-processing to enhance the image and give it a bit more pop. So what I'm going to do is show you the tools that I use over here on the right hand panel. We're in the develop mode in Lightroom. So the first thing I like to do is to crop, and so I like to crop here at 5:7, and I have these nice thirds grids that I find quite handy actually. Now in this particular case we have all this beautiful light bokeh and the sun from over here, so I'm going to edit the photo or crop the photo rather, so I'm just cutting out this building here and ensuring that I leave some of this nice light over here. So we'll crop here, and then I will talk through as I work my way down. I've just put together a new Lightroom training course which has videos walking us through all these elements if you need any more details in what they all do. Okay, so we've cropped the photo how I like it, And the first thing I see here is the white balance. So we're looking at the color temperature. Now this photo was taken with beautiful late afternoon sun. That light is already quite warm, but I do want to increase this a little bit because that's how it looked to me when I was outside. You can see that I'm bringing this up a little bit. I don't want to go too far because it will start to adjust to skin tone. So bring it down just where it feels nice and warm. But I do actually want to enhance this sun. So I'm going to select the, I call it the pull down tool, the pulling line tool. It's actually called the graduated filter, but we'll reset these. I want to increase the exposure a little, increase the white balance warmth a little bit. So I'm going to come to the corner and just pull it. See, that's why it should be called the tool that you can pull. Maybe that's not very suitable. Okay, so I'll adjust this, move it over here. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want to add warmth and exposure to this part of the image, but I don't want to adjust her skin tone at all. So I'm using that. The other tool we could use, close this one, is, I call it the paintbrush tool. It's called the adjustment brush. Those levels are the same. When I click on the adjustment brush, I use the scrolling mouse to make this larger, the area that's covered. But if you scroll down, you can adjust the size here, and you could paint on those same adjustments. So it's totally up to you how you want to do it. And the great thing is that once you paint that on, I could come over here and adjust that more if I feel like it's too much or too little. So that's our warmth added to the image. Now if we come down, the next thing I'm doing is adjusting the exposure. And I think, you know, this image is probably a little bit overexposed, even though I do tend to overexpose most of my images. So we'll bring it down just ever so slightly to adjust that. The next thing I'm going to do is add some contrast. Because it is a backlit shot, we do lose a lot of the contrast when we take the image. So it's always good to add a little bit more in here. Then as we come down, I'm not touching highlights. I am going to fill in the shadows a tiny bit, which just brings up the dark areas in the background. And I am going to decrease the blacks. Again, it has the same effect of adding a little bit of contrast. So you can use that slider there and find a level that I think works. Now I'm also going to add just ever so slight amount of vibrance, which just increases the areas that are already quite colorful. It just gives them a little boost. You don't want to go overboard because you can see here our green and orange tones would just go crazy. Just going to add ever so slight more. And then I'll come back up here. I think I'm going to bring the exposure down just a little bit more as well till I feel like it's a nice balance. So you can see here, I'm going to add a little bit more blacks. There we go. That feels nice to me. And add a little bit more of the fill light. Okay, so now if we compare this to the before shot, you can see that there's a huge difference. And in fact, someone posted the other day when I shared this image on Facebook, why don't my photos look like that? Well, it's all in the post-processing. And really that didn't take very long at all to do that. When we look at them side by side, this does look really quite orange, almost oversaturated. But when we look at it by itself, then as a finished product, I feel like that looks like a really nice image. And so the edits we've made to increase the warmth, we've added some particular adjustments over here. I've decreased the exposure a little because it was quite overexposed, added contrast, some fill lights, increased the blacks, a tiny bit of vibrance, and then to finish off, I'll just come down here and add a very slight vignette. We don't want to go overboard with our vignettes. And there we have a color image edit from our quick shoot that we did outside. Now, the second one I wanted to show you was a black and white because backlit shots can look really great as black and white photos. So again, let's crop the image to 5:7. And in this case, I will have to get in a little bit closer because the building there is getting in our way, but that is totally fine. So now I'm going to turn it black and white. You might have some black and white presets, but you don't need to use them. You can come down here to the HSL color black and white drop down menu and just click on black and white. Now we never want to use a simple black and white adjustment like this, because just transferring an image to black and white isn't going to give us the effect that we're looking for. And in this case, again, because it's backlit, we need to add a lot of contrast. We're going to increase the blacks. So we're really distributing the tones between black and light a little bit more. And then again, my image was quite overexposed, so we'll adjust that a little bit, bring it down a little bit. And, you know, even just from doing those mild adjustments, I feel like that is a shot that I'm really happy with. We have this nice light that's around her. Her face is well exposed. If we come up here, we can check the blinkies and make sure that no areas on her face or around her have lost too much detail. There's a little bit in her hair there. So we could use the adjustment paintbrush tool, bring the exposure down a little bit, and just darken some areas of her here. And you know, once you start going, you can be tempted to keep going, just to bring back some detail and texture to the blanket and to her hair. And do that bit around the side here. There we go, we can hit done. Again, if we compare side by side, you can see from the initial photo, we've converted to black and white. And that's how I did the edit. So you might want to watch through again and see what I did. But I am basically using just the tools that are here in the basics panel, adjusting the tone levels and having a play with those so that I can help the image pop a little bit and enhance it from the straight out of camera, which is a backlit shot, can be a little bit washed out and flat. And we've now given it that boost. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope it encourages you to jump out and have a play. Look for light, even if it's you know, in your backyard. You really only need pockets of areas that you can shoot in, either to find nice light or nice simple backgrounds that you can use, and then have a go with Lightroom. As I said, I've just released a new Lightroom course that walks you through all the steps to get you started in Lightroom, even if you've never used it before. And we have loads of examples of photos taken in different types of light and different types of images, so that you can see how I go through and conduct my editing. So have fun.